There we go. All right. What is going on, everybody? Hope you're doing good this morning. Getting ready for Talladega. Not sponsored, but of course, we're going to be popping the Fisherman's Friends for the weather drop. Hope everybody's good from the storms and all that. I didn't have power for almost the whole day. Pretty much lost the whole day to it. And I'm all the way here in North Carolina, so there's no telling what all the good people from Florida had to go through. So it's kind of a bummer with safety. And also a bummer for, I don't know if you guys have been following it, but Rick Eshelman, he decided to leave the realm that we're on. Have to be careful how I say it here on YouTube. But he's no longer with us, so that's an unfortunate story too. If you're not familiar with him, he was the World of Outlaws announcer. So kind of a bummer that he is not here anymore. So that's very, very unfortunate. Robin Marks, what's going on? So starting off with a little bit of sad stuff, but we will pick it up and hopefully make this a positive one. I don't want to have back-to-back bummer videos for a lack of a better term. So we will get to the Talladega, I guess, statistics or whatever. I don't really look at anything like laps led or anything like that at Talladega. I just look at guys that get top tens and wins because it's such a wild race. Restricted plate tracks and all that good stuff, just always wild. So we'll look at your previous race winners, who are Ryan Blaney. He has 2 wins at Talladega. Chase Elliott with 1 win, with 1 win, and Brad Keselowski also has 1 win. So those are your previous winners since 2019. Your average finish, Kaz Gralla, not in the race, but probably should be. I'm on the Kaz Gralla train trying to get him, with the zero influence I have, trying to get him a full-time ride in something. But he has an average finish of 6th in 1 race. But other than him, Ryan Blaney has an average finish of 11th. Austin Dillon with an average finish of 13th. Chase Elliott, average finish of 14th. Denny Hamlin. You think of a lot of things when you think of Denny Hamlin, but you don't necessarily think super speedway racer. But he's a super speedway ace. He has an average finish of 14th. Brad Keselowski, average finish of 14th. Eric Jones, average finish of 14th. Ty Dillon, there's where you're going to make sort of your fantasy money or whatever like that. Or, DraftKings, whatever you're doing for entertainment purposes only. Ty Dillon, average finish of 15th. Ryan Preece, I don't think he's in this race. I haven't looked at the sheet yet. Ryan Preece, average finish of 15th. Kevin Harvick, average finish of 15th. Eric Almirola, average finish of 15th. And then Corey LaJoie, William Byron, and Ross Chastain all round out your best average finishers. And like I said previously, your previous winners are, of course, Keselowski, Hamlin, Elliott, and Ryan Blaney. Now, that is specifically at Talladega. However, if you look at super speedways in general, right? So super speedways in general, some people just look at super speedways in general. They group them all together. So if you look at super speedways in general, it sort of paints a little bit of a different picture because you've got Austin Cindric in 4 races with 1 win, 2 top 5s, and 2 top 10s. Austin Cindric would be a good pick here. Ryan Blaney floats to the top of this again. So Ryan Blaney is looking like your odds-on favorite here because at Talladega, he's got 2 wins, and overall super speedways in 15 races since 2019, Ryan Blaney has 3 wins, 5 top 5s, and 7 top 10s. So I'll pencil in Ryan Blaney, no doubt about it. Denny Hamlin, like I said, you think about a lot of things with Denny Hamlin. You don't necessarily think of him as a plate racer. Just because he's got so much other stuff going on. But he's basically been the man. He's been the Dale Jr. since Dale Jr. retired of plate tracks in this recent, probably the last 7 or 8 years. But Denny Hamlin, in 15 races, 3 wins, 7 top 5s, and 8 top 10s with 12.7% of the laps led in all super speedway races. Then you got Chase Elliott, who has 1 win, 4 top 5s, 8 top 10s. Austin Dillon, he has 1 win, 3 top 5s, and 5 top 10s. Ty Dillon. So basically the Dillon boys are going to be sort of your sleeper picks here. But also another guy you don't want to sleep on is Corey LaJoie with 4 top 10s since 2019 in 15 races, which for restrictor plate tracks is insane. The only other guys that you can sort of pencil in guaranteed plate money Chase Elliott and Denny Hamlin, 8 top 10s apiece. They lead that particular statistic and category. But Corey LaJoie, Bubba Wallace, of course, everybody knows Bubba Wallace is really good. Michael McDowell, we know he's really good at plate tracks. Then Kevin Harvick, Eric Almirola, and Ryan Preece. So go ahead and pencil those guys in for your fantasy or DraftKings or whatever you're doing there. But those are your statistics for the super speedways and Talladega in particular. Let's see here. All right, Matty D is finally a winner in NASCAR, says Joe Bob Tarheel for sure, no doubt about that. That was a controversial race. I'm going to get to that in a minute. Elvis Fan says, where's the chat? I can see it over here on my side, Elvis Fan. Hopefully you guys can see it too. Brett Holmes was robbed, says Moulton, for sure. We're going to talk about that in just a second. William Tyre, can't hardly wait for this one. Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see what's going on. Bumblebee, good morning. Howdy from the Great White North. Canada is in the house. Cool Firebird flag behind you. Are you a fan of Smokey and the Bandit? I sure am. I don't know if you can see it, but if you look right there, you see that right there? That is a Bo Darvel or the Bandit Funko Pop. So, yes, I am a Smokey and the Bandit fan. In fact, that was the first toy I remember getting as a kid. It was actually a die-cast figurine. It was Smokey. It was the Bandit, actually. It was the Bandit. He had the little red jacket and blue jeans on, but it was like a little, I don't know if you remember those little like Civil War figurines, or I don't know what they were, but those little metal figurines. It was like that, but it came with, my uncle got it for me. And it came with a car, but I can't remember what I ever did with the car, but I held on to that little guy for like a long time. I think I finally lost him. It wasn't real big, but even back then, so it's probably like way small to me now, but even back then it wasn't like a huge thing. But yeah, for sure, Smokey and the Bandit fan. But sort of without further ado, let's talk about that finish. Matt DiBenedetto is the winner because they threw the caution flag with like 150 feet left to go in the race, I feel like. So rough way for Brett Holmes to lose. I'm happy that Matt DiBenedetto got a win. I feel like it's a legitimate win, but it is rough because why would NASCAR throw that caution? Like, why? Why would you throw the caution with 150 feet to go in the race? That's really not going to save anything. And don't get me wrong, I'm all for safety, but they could have waited basically an extra second. They could have waited an extra second to hit that button and just have it finish at the finish line. But that being said, Ben Rhodes was turning all into Matt DiBenedetto. Matt DiBenedetto basically had the race won if he hadn't turned into him. So I don't know. You can look at it several ways, but you do feel like Brett Holmes got robbed. But you also sort of feel like it's justifiable that Matt DiBenedetto won that because he was going to win it without the wreck. So there's all kinds of different ways to look at it. But either way, I'm happy for Matt DiBenedetto, sad for Brett Holmes, which is just a weird position to take. But that's literally how I feel. I feel bad for Brett Holmes. But I'm happy that Matt DiBenedetto finally gets a win in something, because I know that guy was hearing all those people saying he's never won anything, blah, 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 blah. I think Matt DiBenedetto is a good, solid race car driver. I don't know exactly how good he is, but I'm glad he is finally with a team that he can do some good things with. So hopefully he builds on that Truck Series resume and works his way up as high as he can get from here. Random channel who watches random things. Talladega and the Roval are both good tracks for both Trackhouse drivers. Yeah, for sure. Daniel Suarez is sneaky good at plate tracks. And like you see, Ross Chastain, he is at the bottom of not the bottom of each of these lists, but the bottom of your top 12 or 13 list here. He's at the bottom of both of them, but he's sneaky good. In 5 races, he's got 1 win, 1 top 5, and 1 top 10 at Talladega. So, and you got to think about, before that, this is the first year he's been in really, really good equipment. He was in pretty decent equipment, but he didn't quite have it figured out last season. But now he's in really good equipment, and since he's been in really good equipment, and he's led 2.5% of the laps here, so he's definitely going to be a threat here. But Daniel Suarez all season has been the guy that has sort of gone under the radar. So, yeah, for sure. I don't have Suarez's numbers right in front of me, but for sure, Suarez is always a gamer. I never sleep on Daniel Suarez, and he looks just really hungry. He looks like he's out to prove a point to all the people who gave up on him. So I think he's on a redemption tour of sorts. Technically, Elliott has 2 points-paying plate track wins, 4 overall in Cup because he won Atlanta, and 2 dual races. Yeah, like if you want to count Atlanta as a plate race, which is more than reasonable, I think. So yeah, for sure you can throw that in there. I'm just going off the numbers I've got here of traditional super speedways, but for sure if you want to include Atlanta, for sure do that. But then I would have to adjust all my numbers, and I don't want to I don't want to do all that. But yeah, for sure, I would count Atlanta as a plate win for this season, no doubt about it. I see the Jordan Anderson wreck yesterday. Any update on him? He released a statement. I cold fire with that one. He released a statement saying he's okay. He's just being treated for second-degree burns on his neck and face, I think. But he said he appreciated all the thoughts and prayers and appreciates everybody looking out for him. But he said he is going to be okay and hopefully back at the racetrack next week. Scary incident. If you didn't see it, his engine blew, or I guess, or the truck caught on fire. Something happened in that area that caused the fire. He was getting burnt pretty bad, so he started getting out of the car before it came, or out of the truck before it came to a stop, and it hit the wall as he was getting out, which was really just, oh man, it's always going to be bad to watch. But coming off of the big safety concerns that we've had all this week, basically, it was just so tough to watch. And then, of course, in that same race, we saw the tire carrier from Haley Deegan run out and get a stray tire. Like he lost his mind in the moment trying to help his team. He did something crazy. NASCAR pulled the man's hard card, which is rough. Not that you don't ever want to have that happen. So hopefully they'll let him back at the racetrack at some point. But NASCAR taking a firm stance on safety there, where whatever, I'm not going to get into it. We're going to be positive today. Let's see. Trackhouse winning the championship would be the biggest Cinderella story in NASCAR in recent years. A team that buys out a mid-pack team and wins in the first year of operation. That would be a huge story. A little bit different than how 2311 has gone about their business. They picked up a team that was already running fairly decently, like you said, mid-pack. So they had something to build on, whereas 2311 more or less started from scratch. But both teams have performed fairly well this season after, running sort of mid-pack. When they were Ganassi, they ran mid-pack. And then 2311, of course, had plenty of struggles last season and basically through the first half of this season. But, yeah, Trackhouse winning the championship would be absolutely crazy. Let's see. Gilliland has to be a sleeper pick, says Old Home Guy. Yeah, Todd Gilliland's really good at these tracks. Like I said, and we know the equipment at super speedways is really good because Michael McDowell is always good at these too. So Todd Gilliland, he's definitely one of those guys that's sort of like hit or miss. He's a rookie. You expect that out of a rookie. Not taking anything away from him, but if he's on his game and he doesn't get wrecked, you definitely have to factor him into this. And he actually had a pretty good run going last weekend. I can't remember if he got the results, the finishing results to show for it, but he had a pretty good run last weekend going too. I can't remember if he was one of those guys that got caught up in something or not though. Robin Marks had a 76 Trans Am 400 with the round headlights. I hear you, brother. Let's see. Referring to the Smokey and the Bandit reference from earlier. Adam Alfredson says, hello from Sweden. I hate the double yellow line rules. I do too, Adam. I don't get where that makes the sport any safer. Like, going below that yellow line never really made anybody wreck. It happened like maybe once or twice, but it was never like this huge issue where a whole bunch of people were wrecking. You basically only did it on the last lap. And as you see, most of the time on the last lap, there's some type of contact and some type of wreck anyway. So putting that double yellow line rule there doesn't really make any sense. So, yeah, I'm with you. I never really got that rule myself. I feel like it's just NASCAR putting a rule in to sort of say they put a rule in to make it look like they're caring about safety, which can be debated that they don't. At least this one doesn't, but we're not going to talk about that. We're going to stay positive today. We're going to stay positive. Chase Elliott, I wouldn't choose for plate tracks. He usually gets wrecked in the big one. So not the best choice to bet on. I don't know, man. He's got, let's see, at Talladega, 1 win, 2 top 5s, and 4 top 10s in 7 races. So over half, and he's got 8.8% of the laps led. So 4 out of 7 races at Talladega since 2019, he has finished in the top 10. So not great at math, but that's over half. Four is more than half of 7. So more than half the time, which is all you can hope for at a plate track, more than half the time he finishes in the top 10. So I don't know. I feel pretty good about Chase Elliott in this race, but my only concern with Chase Elliott would be he has not had a lot of speed since the playoffs started after absolutely dominating. He has absolutely dominated the regular season. There's no doubt about that. Hasn't looked like the same guy since the playoffs started, but that could be them just being conservative, not wanting their car to fall apart like other cars have fallen apart. So I don't know. But then again, he's been caught up in wrecks too, so we don't know what he really had. It's just it's hard. It's hard to watch the guy that won the season-long points struggle in the playoffs, because the playoffs, I've been vocal about them. Going to stay positive. We're not going to get into that. NASCAR screwed Brett Holmes out of a win. I mean, yeah, I think a lot of people feel like that. Throwing the caution 150 feet before the finish line is pretty stupid. I think everybody universally agrees on that. They could have waited the extra half second to do that. But by rules, I don't know, I was saying Jordan Anderson, but by rule, Matt DiBenedetto absolutely is the winner. So it was a terrible call by NASCAR. I don't want to take anything away from Matt DiBenedetto or Brett Holmes. It's just once again a bad timing on the caution by NASCAR. But it is what it is. I think NASCAR was a bit gun ready after the Jordan Anderson deal. That's a fair point, coal fire. But 150 feet, that's tough. It's tough. It's tough the way it fell. That's the only thing you can really say about it. But I can see your point there with the Jordan Anderson deal. David Pate, keep up the good work. I will, David Pate. I appreciate the kind words there. Meaning they were quick to throw cautions. Yeah, I got you, coal fire. Yeah, I understand what you're getting at. I understand the Jordan Anderson situation might have made him a little shy to throw that there. But also in the Xfinity race that happened right afterwards, they let it play out. So NASCAR going to NASCAR, right? So inconsistent as always. Cassandra Keller, NASCAR messed up again on that truck race. Yeah, once again, 2 races back to back, and they had a different strategy for the cautions. So that's what I'm saying. NASCAR is going to NASCAR. The only thing consistent about NASCAR yellows is that they are consistently inconsistent. I hope Larson rides around in the back until the end, says Dr. Moritz. I know that he won't, but I feel like he needs to do this to get a top 15. If Kyle and Noah both ride around, then team up at the end to get a good finish. That is actually a strategy. Back in the day, this is actually the anniversary of Dale Jarrett's last points paying win, by the way. So just so you know, in the 88 UPS car. But his strategy, and the reason I bring that up, his strategy was always to ride around in the back, and then he would go at the very end, back in his era of plate racing. So that is a strategy, and you could see some guys in the points do that. I wouldn't be surprised if they rode around for the whole race, not necessarily even as a protest, maybe partially as a protest, but also just because they don't want to risk tearing up their car until the very end. Ken Pryor, good morning. What's going on, buddy? As a Carson Hocevar fan, I have to say, WTF, was Carson thinking, intentionally bringing out a caution? I am this close to saying I'm not. Yeah, so that was, not only did he bring out the caution on purpose, then he started complaining about it like he was somehow a victim for bringing the caution out. So I think that was a bad look for him. I think everybody's still probably a Carson Hocevar fan. Majority of people are still a Carson Hocevar fan. He's fun. But he was wrong in that particular situation. It was a wrong take by him, in my opinion. So sort of is what it is. He's a young kid. Young kids are going to have wrong takes. It's part of the growing process. Same thing with Ty Gibbs. Ty Gibbs does some really, really dumb things, but he's a young kid. You got to expect it out of a young kid. But I don't want to see him doing any more dumb things that put people in danger. So that was really stupid of him the other day. But young kids are going to do stupid things. That's part of being young, unfortunately. And yes, I know Larry Mack doesn't want to hear anything else about young kids. He was very clear about that. And he does have a point as far as racing in the Cup Series. If you're too young to race in the Cup Series, then you're too young to race in the Cup Series. He's absolutely right about that. The 8 car has some hellish speed lately. Yeah, absolutely. And they had an issue in practice or whatever. He did not have brakes because obviously for super speedways, you trim the brakes back as much as you can, save weight, and various other things. And plus, you're just riding around so long. Sometimes the brakes don't activate. His brakes weren't fully activated, and he ran over a NASCAR official. So a lot of people just taking that as a bad omen. Hopefully, it's not. Hopefully, it's just a freak thing. But going forward, we'll have to keep an eye on that as well. Johnny Plush says Brad K, Stenhouse, Hamlin, Logano, Elliott, Austin Dillon, several good plate racers. Yeah, no doubt about it. Stenhouse is a really good plate racer. The only situation with Stenhouse is he is going to wreck or win. He's not going to do anything in between, and that's why you never see his numbers show up really strong at a plate track, even though every time you go to a plate track, you see him running up there and doing well. But Stenhouse is a good pick if you're okay with taking that risk. But he's definitely, and Logano's always a good pick no matter what. What do you think about Noah Gragson running the 48 today? I see odds on him have jumped from 25 to 1 this morning. It's bad that Alex Bowman won't be in the car, but better off safe than sorry. Noah Gragson is on a heater right now. He is one of the hottest drivers in the sport. He's got 4 in a row, or had 4 in a row before this weekend. So he's definitely a really good plate racer. But he's also said he doesn't want to take too much of a risk in this car because he doesn't want to get hurt and take away his ability to win the Xfinity Series title, because he knows these cars hit harder than the Xfinity Series cars. Those are in his words. Eric Estep actually has a good video when he's talking about the safety stuff. He plays a clip of that. If you want to check out his video after I finish this, of course, by the way. And also, if you're, I think at 11:30, they're going to start the FS1 coverage. So if you want to ditch me, which you should never do, and watch that does start at 11:30. Then at 1 o'clock, I think, starts race day or whatever. So that's when they're starting their coverage. Of course, you should stay here and watch me, but that is the schedule. Love Talladega, but a dice roll to pick a winner. Yeah, there's no doubt about that. It's always just going to be who's left at these tracks. Chase was leading when his tire blew, so he's still a threat. I was glad Elliott repeated that safety has gone backwards. I'm glad drivers are speaking out. That is good. I agree with you, Robin Marks. I'm glad they're speaking out. And also, yeah, he has had some speed. Some of the not only at Bristol, but he had some speed at the other one. When his tire, I think both of them were tires going out or something. But he has had speed. The races he's had speed in, he's unfortunately been taken out. Caution was warranted because Blaine Perkins was pinned his truck was torn apart, that wreck. So there was reasons for a caution, but not that close to the finish line. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Them throwing the caution a half second later wouldn't have made any difference, but they could have definitely been sort of, worried about it. Okay, that being said, Bumblebee, appreciate it with the super chat. I just want to send my prayers out to Alex Bowman and Jordan Anderson and say I hope Noah Gragson wins for the 48 team today. And nobody's ditching BB, LOL. I appreciate it, Bumblebee. Always appreciate the kind words. Yeah, for sure. Definitely want to, just everything that's going on, everybody that's been affected by this, by all this recent safety stuff. Like I said, I'm going to try to stay positive, so I'm not going to harp on the safety stuff. I've already made a video about it. I feel like everybody knows where I stand on it, but just so much safety stuff going on and so much bummer news going on here recently. Even all the way down to the world of outlaws. If you're unfamiliar with the Rick Eshelman situation, he decided to leave us, and that is unfortunate, but just a lot of bummer news. So we're going to try to keep it positive here today. So yeah, no doubt about it. But thoughts and prayers to everybody that's been hurt this weekend and the previous weekend. Just bummer stuff. So we're going to try to keep it positive here going forward. NBA Trash Boy, huge fan, bro. Love your content. I always seem to agree with your opinion. Keep it up, man. I appreciate it, NBA Trash Boy. Always good to hear some kind words, especially on a dreary weekend so far. You ever watch Kenny Wallace's channel? He's a hoot. Dude, Kenny Wallace is a character. Old home guy said, not only his channel, but just on social media in general, that guy, he always keeps something going on. I don't know what to say about him. Like, he's wide open. He's definitely just wide open. He always keeps something going. But yeah, check him out on Twitter. I think he's got a Twitter, and I definitely know he's got a YouTube channel. So check him out if you haven't checked him out. And also, buddy of the channel, Elite Precision 29. He is at last time I looked, he was like maybe 75 away from 1,000 subscribers. So check out his channel, and if you like it, subscribe. If you don't like it, don't subscribe. But if you check him out and you like what he has to say, because I think he's got a pretty good channel, check him out and hit that subscribe button. Let's try to get him over 1,000 because he's got a really good channel in my opinion. He gives pretty good takes. Let's see. Yeah, he does. I don't know if he is ready for Cup. Says NBA Trash Boy talking about Ty Gibbs. Yeah, he's or could be talking about Noah Gregson or Carson Hocevar. But either way, his point stands on either of them because the young kids, man, you never know what you're going to get from them. So until they mature, I kind of actually don't want to see them in Cup. I didn't always feel like that, but then after the incident on pit road, I was like, man, if they're not ready emotionally for Cup, they need to hold it back until they are emotionally ready for Cup. That being said, I think Ty Gibbs is definitely going to be driving that 18 next year. So he's coming one way or the other. Uncle Bones, too, said, Mr. Berger, what a BS yellow. I like Matty D, but he did not win, in my opinion. A lot of people feel like that. So, and that's what I'm saying. I don't want to take the win away from Matty D because it's NASCAR that did it, so I don't want to put any of the focus on Matty D over it. I want to put the focus on NASCAR for just being a little trigger happy, but you could understand it from that situation where they just had, a guy basically catch on fire and jump out of his car while it was rolling. So that could be your opinion on Noah Gregson next year with the 42. What's your opinion of what will become of Ty Dillon? Ty Dillon always seems to find a ride. So I think Ty Dillon will find a ride. Noah in the 42, I think he'll sort of have a Austin Cindric type of year. He'll have some really good runs. He'll have some really bad runs. But I think overall I think he will end up being a better driver than Ty Dillon was this season. If not next year, he will be the year after that. And I'm saying that as a Ty Dillon fan. I've probably got 6 Ty Dillon shirts, or maybe 4. But I'm not trying to like diss Ty Dillon. I just happen to think that Noah Gregson has a higher ceiling. So I think once Noah Gregson reaches his full potential, he'll be a better overall driver than Ty Dillon. I think Ty Dillon's a good driver, but he seems to just – it's not translating in Cup for whatever reason, but it has translated at other levels. So maybe he's a guy like Justin Allgaier. He needs to be an Xfinity guy for life or something like that. So – and there's nothing wrong with that. There's people in the Hall of Fame that were Xfinity drivers for life, no doubt. Oh, I got another super chat. Let me scroll down here. Oh, Cornfed just giving a super chat, man. Thanks for the shout out, Cornfed Covers. Appreciate the super chats as always. You guys are so kind. Yeah, I'm humble. I'm humbled by him. I don't really know what to say, but I'm very thankful. Talking about dumb things, Joseph Wooten talking about dumb things yesterday. Haley Deegan's crew member running onto the track under green to get the tire. Yeah, like that was the most insane thing I've seen in quite some time. Like, oh my gosh, I know he was probably, his adrenaline was going, and he was probably like, I'm going to get that tire. And once he had committed to getting that tire, he probably didn't even realize how far he had ran out to grab it. But probably about the time he saw grass, he was like, oh, dang, he is messed up. But then he was pot committed. So we went and grabbed it anyway and then came back. Definitely a really dumb thing. And NASCAR yanked his hard card. That was, you don't see that very often, which lets you know that is a serious infraction. We might not see that guy the rest of the season for DGR, but hopefully they do let him back at some point, give him some type of path back, some training or some pathway back. But I think his adrenaline got the best of him. He was trying to help his team, but it was tough. NBA Trash Boy, Haley had a great performance yesterday. Yeah, no doubt. She ended up 6th place, I think. They had her on the rolling thing as 8th, but I think she ended up in 6th place. So really, really good day for her. If you watched her Instagram afterwards, she said she was really nervous. She just wanted to bring the truck home in one piece and to get a 6th out of it. She was super stoked about that. So she was definitely really thankful for the finish there and some good momentum for them going forward. They need a little bit of momentum. And like I said, once Jerry Baxter got hooked up with her, I think you'll see some better results out of them going forward. Probably toward the end of this year and the beginning of next year. Logano was first in the playoffs. Would you agree he's almost a shoe-in to make the Final Four at Phoenix? Asking from a biased standpoint, I mean, I feel like Joey Logano is always one of those guys you pencil into the Final Four. Like, I mean, going all the way back, like you can make safe bets just about every season. I know these guys are getting older, but like Denny Hamlin, Kevin Harvick, Joey Logano, and Kyle Busch, and then throw in, whoever else you want to throw in there. But you can almost always be assured that at least 3 of those guys out of the 4 will be in your Final Four or close to being in your Final Four. So, yeah, Joey Logano, and he's the thing about Joey Logano, we feel like he's been around forever. He's just now getting into his prime. Like, as long as he's been in the sport, he's just now getting into his prime. So Joey Logano actually might get even better than he has been. So we could be watching sort of the rise of Joey Logano, for lack of a better term. Yeah, I don't know. But, yeah, definitely. I mean, not even when the playoffs start. You can do this preseason. Joey Logano, I've always got him sort of penciled in as a guy I'm thinking about making the Final Four. So, yeah, I think he'll definitely make the next round, and I think he'll definitely be a threat to make the Final Four. He's always going to be a threat to make the Final Four. Trash Boys throwing up prayers for Bowman for sure. Benjamin Lewis, Kyle Busch won his first winged sprint car race on dirt last night at Port City in Tulsa. Yeah, he was racing against dang. I forgot the girl's name, but she posted a picture of it. Yeah, he qualified on the pole, and she was outside pole. But she's another big Toyota driver that they're trying to bring up through the system. Kaylee Bryson. She posted a picture of that, and I was like, I didn't even know he was racing, but that's pretty cool. Let's see. Dr. Moretz, we need more Kenny Wallace's. Yeah, Kenny Wallace is a character, no doubt about it. Moulton says, honestly, I think the issue with this generation of drivers is the disrespect. A lot of these newer drivers race disrespectfully, and they don't run clean, which is sad to see. That respectful racing era is gone. Yeah, to an extent. People have always raced like that. I think it's more – the point system, the way that the driver feeder systems work now, everything plays into that. Guys don't work on their own cars anymore. That's another huge part that plays into it. If you have to work on your own car, you tend to race a lot cleaner because you don't want to fix that joker after every single race. So that's actually where they didn't want to race respectful back in the day, but more or less they raced respectful back in the day because they didn't want to have a whole bunch of extra time repairing a car, because back in the day they also raced just like dirt cars do. They raced 3 or 4 times a week. So back in the day, keeping your car clean was also a business decision. But no longer. It's all just throw more money at it and let the teams worry about it. And the driver hops out of the car, and the race is to the airport. The second race of the night is to the airport. My question is how drivers are playing hurt. There's quite a few drivers in the Cup Series that are out there driving for their careers and may hesitate to admit they're injured. That is a very good point, and that's always been a situation in sports like this. NFL in particular is probably the best example where guys played hurt all the time. They'll talk about how hurt they played because they didn't want to lose their position, because if they lost their position, they would lose money. NASCAR drivers have a very similar mentality. They don't want to put anybody in their car and have that person run better and then lose their ride. So if you're a driver on the hot seat and you're hurt in that race car, you're not going to tell anybody. Sometimes some drivers do have that mentality, and that's why Dale Jr., whenever somebody says they're hurt and gets out of a race car, he applauds them and talks about how brave they are. That's what he's talking about how brave they are, because there is this stigma that if you let somebody else drive your car and they do better than you, they will get your ride. And it's a fair stigma because it can happen sometimes. We've seen it happen from time to time. So it's smart of these guys to get out of the car, but it's also, you can see where sometimes they would stay in there past the point of when they should stay in there and not admit that they're hurt. So it is one of those deals. Don't forget about old Harvick. He's got 18 or 19 top 10 since 2001. He's pretty good there too. Yeah, he's on there. He's like I said, Harvick has an average finish at Talladega specifically of 15.3 in 7 races. He's got 1 top 5 and 4 top 10. So once again, another guy that 4 out of 7 races, over 50%. He finishes in the top 10, and he has led 2.5% of the laps at Talladega since 2019. And his overall statistics at Super Speedway 17.1 in 15 races, with 3 top 5s and 6 top 10s. So, yep, Harvick is definitely a good pick at super speedways, and always has been, because, RCR always brought fire. No matter how good or bad RCR has been, they've always had really fast super speedway cars. Molten Rage, Matt DiBenedetto may have won the race, but Brett Holmes is everyone's heart. Yeah, he's the people's champ. People's champ this week, no doubt about it. But also, I think people feel good that Matt DiBenedetto finally won a race. So it's just, it's tough. It was a tough way for it to happen. Good news. My bad, but I'm terrified for today's race, and Dale Jr. should be the leader. Talking about leader and talking about these safety talks. Hopefully he does say something, and I think he does have something on his mind he might say in this race. Let's see. La Grande Chine, is Ty Dillon, hopefully I said that right, is Ty Dillon finding a ride, or is Pop finding him one money? He has said numerous times he doesn't want to use Pop's money or influence to get rides. So I don't know, but I feel like maybe sometimes behind the scenes, Richard Childress is helping him out without telling him. So, but he's definitely said he doesn't want to drive an RCR car. He doesn't want to go that route. He sort of wants to make it on his own. So we will see. But I think you could be right. I think behind the scenes, it's hard for a grandparent or a parent not to help, their grandson or son in this situation. So you can see where Richard Childress is coming from too. I mean, let's face it. Like, if we were multimillionaires and our children or grandchildren wanted to race, would you not help them out? And they would be foolish not to get in that. And I'm not calling Ty Dillon a fool. I'm just saying it's foolish if you're offered a ride not to get in a race car, because my theory in life is if you can drive a race car and don't worry about what people say. So that's just my take on it. Because I mean, if you want to race, then race. Use every advantage you can, because it's a cutthroat sport. If you have an advantage on the table and you're not using it, that's dumb, and that's just the end of it. So that's how I feel about it. Might be a hot take, might not be, but that's just, I've always felt like that. Like, I wouldn't care. Like, if people don't like you, they never liked you to begin with. So don't worry about people not liking you and saying mean things about you. It is what it is. Sonny V, kind of wish that Joe Gibbs himself would sit his grandson out. Speaking of out for a race to get his attention, I would too. Like, that suspension Sonny V said that suspension they gave him is not going to affect him at all. 75K is a drop in the bucket, and taking away points in a series he's not even running points in, not going to affect him. So that's something that just I don't know. Ty Dillon is better than Austin in my opinion. I strongly feel that Austin is one of the least talented drivers in Cup. NBA Trash Boy, I don't know. I think he's average. I think he's about as good as Eric Almirola. I think the two brothers are probably similar in talent, to be totally honest. Austin has definitely had the better equipment. That's because Ty chose not to drive for his grandpa. So that's Ty's road that he chose to take. I feel like they're solid drivers. Austin Dillon's always going to threaten for a top 15 to top 10. And there's a lot of drivers out there that can't do that. But there's also, to your point, a lot of drivers that can get better results. But I'm not going to necessarily say Austin Dillon's a bad driver. And total bias, I'm an RCR fan. So, I have total bias toward that because I like Richard Childress. I like the Dillons. So, but are there better drivers out there? For sure. But until recently, had RCR been able to get those better drivers. So if you're going to replace them, you got to replace them with somebody better that has sponsorship behind him, because that is part of the model too. The people that are better than him that they could have replaced him with didn't have sponsorship behind him, and the people that had sponsorship behind him they could replace him chose to go to better teams like JGR, Stewart Haas, better teams back then. I think RCR has actually been pretty good this year. I think you see that with the 8 car. And I think you're going to see it next year when Kyle Busch gets in the 8 car as well. But yeah, fair statement. There are definitely better drivers that could be in that 3 car. But until recently, I don't think RCR has had the ability to lure them away. And let's be honest, Kyle Busch sort of fell in their lap. It's not like they put together a benefits package basically to get Kyle Busch. They didn't outbid anybody to get Kyle Busch. So it is what it is. They're like just a little bit away from being an elite team, but that little bit is big. So they're better than sort of a lot of your mid tier teams, but they're still not close to. Even though it's just a little bit, they still until this season we're not close to the bigger teams. Dwayne Mansell, Ty suffers from BDKS. There you go. Let y'all figure that one out. Not going to say it on air. Ryan Geldhart, given playoff drivers have won each, and Ty Gibbs is just another guy that's polarizing, similar to the Austin Dillon situation, except Ty Gibbs does a little bit more crazy stuff in the race car, and rubs people the wrong way. He's I don't know. He just rubs people the wrong way. Given non-playoff drivers have won each playoff race so far, does the trend continue? Brad K, Ricky Stenhouse, Wood Brothers get their 100th win. That would be cool. I would like to see the Wood Brothers get their 100th win. So I will be pulling for Harrison Burton as far as that goes. Brad K, I want to see Brad K get a win. If Roush got 2 wins this season, who would have thought RCR would have 4 wins this year? And Roush Fenway, if they get 2, who would have had that on their bingo board? Good comment there from Ryan Geldhart. Bumblebee said, we had a guy run out in the grass in the Cup a few years ago at Atlanta on the 47 team to get a tire. He got suspended as well. Yeah, for sure. No doubt. Let's see. But hopefully they give him a path back. Like, it is dumb, but I don't want to see that guy lose his job forever, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So, old home guy says, how did Decker do this weekend? I wasn't aware she was in the race, to be totally honest. So I don't know. Somebody want to look up where Natalie Decker finished? I'm not sure. I didn't even know. And to be totally honest, I didn't get my power on, so I caught the last half of the race, and then I had to do some driving and basically caught the last 10 laps. So I'm not sure where Natalie Decker finished. I didn't watch much of either race. I basically just saw the last 10 laps of both of those races. So not sure where Natalie Decker finished, or if she finished. Let's see. Benjamin Lewis says Carson is not smart for what he did. That guy showed we can go get the tire and not throw a caution. Yeah, that was probably an even more interesting point. NASCAR saw that guy running across the track, or maybe they didn't see him running across the track, like they didn't see Denny Hamlin getting spun the other week. But we're going to stay positive. We're going to stay positive. Why do I keep going there? We're going to stay positive. So they didn't throw the caution for the guy running out onto the track, basically. So that's another thing. They need to work on that as well. DeGroat collision. I love the Bowman video. Finger point. The disappointment. Yeah. I appreciate it. The sad finger point. A lot of people have commented on that. I didn't know whether or not to do the finger point because it was a serious video. So then I did like a really, like, I don't know, I guess a bummer finger point. So I guess going forward we'll have bummer finger points for bummer videos. I don't know. I didn't know what to do. I'm a Ford fan and a Chevy hater, partly because Chevy wins way too much, says Adam Alfredson. Yeah, I can understand that. And a lot of people feel like Chevrolet for a long time just paid NASCAR to be the best team. And now people feel like Toyota, more recently, people have had that comment about Toyota. They're paying off NASCAR. So I feel whichever manufacturer is winning the most at the time, they're going to be like, oh, they're paying off NASCAR, which is a totally fair thing to do as a fan. Like, it's part of the fun of pulling for a manufacturer. Bob Puckett says, I'm looking forward to today's race. Dinger absolutely has a timing down at the start-finish line. Hope to see the same today. Yeah. Colleague. Don't sleep on Colleague. This could be the race where Colleague finally gets a win too. At plate tracks, and of course, so is Allmendinger. I'm not sure who they got in the car. It might be Hemrick in the car, but either way, they're all good at plate tracks. So don't sleep on Colleague. Maybe being the next new winner in the Cup Series for this season. Be cool if there was one more than two to four Fords in Xfinity. Says DeGroat collision. Yeah, so that's another issue with Ford. Going back to Adam Alfredson, you don't see them winning that much in trucks and Xfinity because there's not that many of them, right? So they've got the odds sort of stacked against them, especially at plate tracks, because you have to have somebody to work with. Jefferson Coaster goes, I'm a Ford and Chevy fan. So there you go. Nothing wrong with that. Johnny Plush. I've always thought Joey Logano's sort of similar driving style to Davey Allison. Yeah. Davey was, people don't remember it, but Davey was hyper aggressive at plate tracks. And he definitely was a guy that went out there and tried to lead as many laps as possible. Joey Logano is definitely in that same vein. And they both were tough customers. Great to see Kyle Larson on the front row. Hopefully his engine doesn't expire on lap 16 again. Says NBA Trash Boy. Yeah, hopefully we don't have any more engine failures from anybody named Kyle. Hopefully both Kyles finish the race with their engine intact this particular race. Hopefully that's the end of the Kyles having engine problems. Quiet Cat, doesn't matter how you win, as long as you get her done. Great race for Matty D. That's sort of how I feel about it. No matter how people feel about it, it still pays the same money, and it goes down as a W in the win column. So good for Matty D. Brett Holmes, his issue needs to be with NASCAR for throwing that thing 150 feet before the start-finish line. So that needs to be a NASCAR issue. Matty D doesn't need to get any of that hate, in my opinion. So that's just my take on it. Bumblebee, I saw Tua Tagovailoa's injury last week. That was scary as F. Scary as heck. No doubt about it. Whenever you see somebody, I watch a lot of UFC, so I see that a lot in the UFC, or I used to watch a lot of UFC, I should say, before I started working on late models. But you see that a lot when somebody gets knocked out. They'll lock up in some type of, you'll see them like this a lot too. It's called a fencing position. Little babies do it. Like if I don't know how you say this, but if you see a little baby get scared or thinks that they're falling backwards, you'll see them do like that, and it's sort of the same deal. It's called the fencing position, and it happens to some people when they lose consciousness. So it looks really bad, but it's sort of a natural reaction, and it is bad if you get knocked out. But it's just something your brain naturally does, sort of as a last ditch response mechanism. I don't know exactly what it saves you from, but it's just one of them deals. Old home guy Natalie Decker DNQ didn't qualify. Oh, that's how good she did this weekend. Oh, well, there you go. She did not qualify, so she wasn't in the race. I didn't miss it. That's part of it. When you're a part timer, that is part of it. Sometimes you don't qualify. That stinks because you still got to pay the exact same amount of money almost. You might get a discount on the next one if you're lucky. Excited to see what Noah can do in the 48 today, says OJ and Toothpaste. Yeah, I think he'll probably just take it easy because, like he said in the past, he doesn't want to risk his Xfinity Series championship by wrecking in the Cup Series. But it will be good experience for him. So I 100% expect him to just ride around, to be totally honest with you. Just remember, this is a milestone for a certain crew chief, Rodney Childers' 600th race as a crew chief. So it's a milestone for him, no doubt about it. Ty Dillon would be benefit from additional time in the Xfinity Series. He's good and just needs some additional wheel time, much like Jeb Burton. That's a good point, John Crane. Like I said, I'm not a Ty Gibbs. I don't hate Ty Gibbs either. I'm not a Ty Dillon hater. I just think he needs more seat time. You got to think about where Ty Dillon's coming from. He basically had 4 or 5 races last season, so he was out for a year. Now he jumps into this car that's totally new. So he didn't have the repetitions of even a Harrison Burton or an Austin Cindric. He didn't even get a full Xfinity Series season last year. So you had to expect a little bit of rust. But he had a good finish last weekend. So hopefully he can build upon that. Ty was good enough. He would have been in 5 years ago, says Dave the Stalker. So, yeah, people are in the 8 car. I got you. People are definitely, they have their opinion about Ty Dillon. I just pull for him because I'm an RCR guy. So I always want to see him do good. I don't have a unbiased opinion of him. I have a very biased opinion of him. So it's hard for me to break that one down because, like I said, I'm pulling for him, but I can look at the results and I can tell you the results aren't there. And I feel like John Crane, like if he had gone down and raced a longer time in the Xfinity Series, it would it definitely would have benefited him. He did race a lot in trucks, but I think the Xfinity Series he sort of glossed that one over. I think a little more development in that would probably help him. But we'll see what happens with him next season. I do hope he gets to keep racing though. Whenever somebody chases a dream, I want them to chase that dream all the way to the end and never give up on it, because you don't want to hang it up at some point and be like, man, what if? You don't want to live your life with a whole lot of what ifs. So hopefully he keeps racing as long as he wants to keep racing, because you just don't want to see somebody lose their dream. There's a great story, and they actually made a documentary about it. It's an indie documentary. I don't know how you find it, but they made one on Akinori Ogata. He's from Japan. And he races short track stuff at Hickory Speedway. So that's another guy that's chasing a dream. So I'm all about chasing a dream and just do it until you can't chase it anymore. So it's really cool when you get somebody from the international world that wants to race local short tracks, that's their dream, or NASCAR, because, NASCAR can't possibly be the biggest sport in the world over there. So I think it's really cool whenever those guys want to come give it a try. La Grande Shine, if I had RC's money, you bet my grandkids would get my help. Yeah, no doubt about it, man. Like these guys get dissed all the time because their grandchildren or sons of former drivers and stuff like this. But put yourself in their shoes. If somebody offers you a ride, you're going to take the ride. And if you're the dad or the granddad, you're going to offer the help if you can offer the help. I've never gotten that issue of it. I get where you can't maybe relate to somebody because they grew up way richer than you or something like that. I get where you can't relate to them, but I don't hate on them. It's just hard to relate to their life. But I think with these more docuseries and stuff like that, I think you'll find some guys, even though they might be born like that, you might find one or two things that you sort of relate to them on. Like Brandon Jones. I know a lot of my guys like Brandon Jones because Brandon Jones is like a huge hunter. He's big on the hunting scene. He's a really accurate marksman. So once they saw that about Brandon Jones, even though Brandon Jones is at another level financially than any of us will ever be, they liked him because they share that common interest with him. So they're big Brandon Jones fans. So that's what I'm saying. The more docuseries and stuff like that you see, you'll find drivers that you have things in common with, and you'll pull for them because of that. Much like the F1 deal has gone with Drive to Survive. Maverick says, do you think Noah Gragson had better options than the 42? I was hoping he got a better ride. Don't sleep on the 42. So GMS has, his owner says, I'm not the owner of GMS. I can't say his name, but he has said, I'm not getting any younger and I'm going to put as much money into this deal to make it good as possible. So that car, although last year and the year before was not good, you're seeing what that money being spent is doing this year. Like they finally got the Hawkeye system or the Eagle Eye system. I can't remember. One's a movie and one's the system, and I get them transposed. But I think it's the Hawkeye system. But they just now got one of those, and they're hiring somebody to run it. So they have been getting these results without a Hawkeye system to know where they can fudge sort of the body panel work and stuff like that. So just think about how far behind the 8-ball they were, and they're still getting good results. I expect them to be way better next year. But to your point, do I think there was a better ride out there? The only better ride I could see him getting was if Dale Jr. decided to come up to Cup next year and use Noah Gragson as his driver. So I don't know. NBA Trash Boy said you make a good point. Appreciate it, buddy. Coalfire still hasn't been many winners in the Cup Series, let alone 3. Austin does have like 3 wins or so. Yeah, so that's a fair point. He's not like the worst driver in the world, but are there better drivers out there? For sure. But can RCR get those better drivers? Until recently, I would have to say no. But now that they've got a fast car, they might be able to lure some other drivers there. And Austin Dillon's no dummy. He went to school for business. When he thinks the moment is right, he will definitely step away. In my opinion, he will step away and he will put somebody in that car that is probably an elite talent. With that being said, they're going to 3 cars next year, so you're going to see two more drivers alongside Austin Dillon. And like I said, Austin Dillon's not the worst driver in the world. He's always going to get you a solid 15th to 10th. And that's actually been no matter what the equipment's been recently. So he might be turning a corner. And like I said, don't sleep on Austin Dillon because he is an Xfinity Series champion and he is a Truck Series champion. So it's not like he's totally unqualified. But I'm not going to sit here and pretend that there aren't better drivers out there. Jeff Coaster, meaning grandkids can get away with it. Yeah, I got you, brother. Nuclear prediction: KB wins 4 races next year because Reddick's proved the 8 car is a winning piece. No doubt about it. I think, and this might be, I don't know, people might not think this way. I think if Reddick had to make that decision over again, I don't know that he gets out of that 8 car if the season's going like it is now at the beginning of the season. But it is what it is. He didn't have the luxury of having those wins, and it is what it is. He's chosen 2311, which 2311 is no slouch either. If they get it going over there, he'll be fine. He's going to be a top 10 talent no matter what. So he'll be fine no matter where he goes. But it is hard to watch them break up such a really, really good team. But if you got Kyle Busch coming into that really good team, I think it's going to work out for everybody at the end of the day. Natalie Decker DQ'd. Sad baloney. LOL, says Bumblebee. Yeah, for sure. Let's go Chase. Larson. OJ and Toothpaste. Let's go Chase. Number 9. Larson, number 5. Brad, number 6. And Ty Gibbs, number 3. Thanks for all the great content you do, Baloney Burger. I appreciate you guys watching, man. Can't do it without you guys. No doubt about it. We need to go back to the old car. Congrats to Matty D. We definitely need to go back to at least certain aspects of the old car. I think the front bumper is way too over-enforced, and the rear bumper way too over-enforced. And I think that's the majority of the problem. I think they could put the old horns. In late models, we call them put the horns back on. It's just a bumper bar with one attachment point, and it doesn't directly come into the chassis. So it is what it is. I'll let them figure it out. I'm not going to talk about it. We're going to stay positive. Benjamin Lewis, I met Brexton once before his race on Friday and got an autograph. Kyle worked up to 4th, and Brexton got 2nd after losing his lead in lap traffic. Yeah, Brexton has a contract with RCR, so he is already signed and delivered. He's going to be an RCR man as well. And Pop RCR, Richard Childress slid him a little hundo in there with that contract as a little signing bonus. So he is already signed and delivered. He's the next RCR man. He's going to probably be the next driver of the 8 when Kyle Busch retires. Team Penske fan, what's going on, man? Cassandra Keller, gotta love it. NASCAR official running across the grass to find some sense. Laugh my booty off on that one. Too funny. Yeah, that was probably the most insane. I'm glad nobody got hurt. In retrospect, it's funny. At the moment, it was like, what is this? Oh goodness, it was so bad. How was having a weekend off go for you? Says old home guy. It was pretty good. You don't get many of them, so it was good. I hated that the Ace race got rained out, but they'll do it this weekend. I won't be able to make it this weekend. I'll be trying out my own deal. I'm racing somewhere. I'm not going to promote the track because I have an issue with one of the people there, so I'm not going to promote the track I'm racing at. But I'm going to try I will put it on the channel, so I will cover it. But it'll be my last race there. I'll race at Ace next season. Benjamin Lewis, Kyle sat next to me in the stands during the non-wing race, and I couldn't even say anything. Well, probably for the best. I mean, sometimes you read the room, you read the situation. Sometimes not always good to talk to them if they're trying to chill and watch their kid. Some people are more friendly than others. Kyle Busch puts it out there. If he wants to talk to you, he'll come up and talk to you. But typically how it works out with Kyle Busch, if you're wearing Kyle Busch stuff, it's good to go talk to him. If you're not wearing Kyle Busch stuff, it could go sideways. So you never know. But he is at least consistent. You see some guys, you think they're nice. Then you meet them in person, they're not nice. It is what it is. We're not going to get into that. Roger Riggs, hey BB, NASCAR will never admit when they are wrong. That's been consistent throughout the history of NASCAR. So I agree with you there, Roger Riggs. It's very frustrating because they won't do it. I'm just nervous for my fantasy picks, says Team Penske fan. I think we all are, because it's just that type of race where anything can happen. Talladega Tom, does anyone think that Kyle Busch will self-park himself today? Deliberately miss a shift, maybe slide into the wall enough, and they park it. You never know. Benjamin Lewis says, yes, Tom, I do, although I think he should just ride in the back. I just hope his motor makes it all the way through. Him and Kyle Larson, the two Kyles, I just hope their motor makes it all the way through the race. because those have been bizarre situations. Okay, I'm gonna be racing on NASCAR Heat 5. Pick an underdog Chevy or Ford driver you would like to win at Talladega, and I'll try to win with them. Corey LaJoie or Ty Dillon. What if Ty Dillon went out with a win? That also would be cool. Brad Keselowski or Harrison Burton. I don't know. Brad Keselowski's not really an underdog. Harrison Burton, Corey LaJoie, Ty Dillon. Pick one of those guys. Ty Dillon, Austin Dillon, Harrison Burton, Jeb Burton, Cole Custer. When I list them off, what all these guys have in common, the same last name, might be talented, but they're underperforming, and that is why they get hatred. To some extent, Austin Dillon gets a lot of hatred because of the car number he sits in. So that's Austin Dillon gets a lot of different hatred for a lot of different things. But those other drivers definitely get hatred for the last name. Ty Gibbs gets hatred partially for his last name, but he also gets hatred for how he drives on the track and sometimes how he conducts himself. So some of them it's purely last name. Some of them it's mitigating factors or their own outright behavior. Roger Riggs, I'm not a fan of Kyle Busch, but he will not self-park himself. Yeah, Kyle Busch is a gamer. I don't see him taking or any of these drivers at this level taking themselves out of the game on purpose or out of the race on purpose. Agree. Talladega Tom, agreed, Benjamin. I think he really does not want to be here today. So we'll find some excuse. Well, there you go. It might be a safety issue. They might take themselves out for a safety issue. There's nothing wrong with that. One of the best that ever did it in F1 did that one time, tried to have a driver's strike and was outvoted. And that's where Niki Lauda, that's actually the exact race that Niki Lauda got burned up in. So safety is no joke. Johnny Plush, Team Penske wants to know who you're starting, Team Penske fan. Just so you guys, if you guys want to know, Ryan Blaney, Austin Dillon, Chase Elliott, Denny Hamlin, Brad Keselowski are your top five for you guys looking at fantasy. Ryan Blaney has led 11% of the laps at Talladega since 2019, has 2 wins, 2 top fives, 3 top tens. Austin Dillon has 1 top 10, 1 top 5, 3 top tens, average finish of 13th. And Chase Elliott, Denny Hamlin, and Brad Keselowski have average finishes of 14.4. They're all tied for that. They each have a win apiece. Denny Hamlin has 3 top fives. The other 2 have 2 top fives and 4 top tens for Chase and Denny apiece, 2 top tens for Brad Keselowski. So there you go. There's a little bit of help for your fantasy or DraftKings deal. How about that Deegan finish, says Mark Barnum? Yeah, she got that 6, man. She was pumped up about it on Instagram for sure. Benjamin Lewis, he needs to get back to work on that junior sprint for Brexton. It was awesome to see Kyle being himself Friday night, wrenching for Brexton. Yeah, that's a super underrated thing about Kyle Busch. We always talk about drivers that work on car, and I'm guilty of this myself. I always forget. Kyle Busch can work on every piece of a race car. He knows exactly what they are. He knows exactly what they do. He wrenched on his own stuff. His dad made him wrench on his own stuff. Same thing with Kurt Busch. Like every time I talk about, Eric Jones or Josh Berry or any of these guys that work on their own stuff, I always leave out the Busch brothers. But the Busch brothers, because of how they sort of, or used to, Kurt used to carry himself as a bad guy. He's completely changed his life. He got humbled during that situation when he drove the 51 and then drove the 78. But you just don't think of them as guys that wrench on cars. You just look at them and how they carry themselves. They just have a certain persona about them. But those 2 guys definitely can wrench on cars. It's just like back in the day, Dale Earnhardt Sr., he was actually a really nice guy and would help out charities and stuff like that, help out anybody he could. But you never thought about him being a nice guy because he had the intimidator persona. I think it's very similar with Kyle Busch. You don't think about him being a hands-on guy, a grassroots racer, but he definitely was. So it's one of those cool things that you don't always think about because he's really good at working the media. I'll just put it that way. I think Gregson will be in the 48 in 2024 or Sam Mayer. OJ and Toothpaste. Gregson's already signed with the 42, so we know Gregson will be. But Sam Mayer is in play, no doubt about it. Oh, yeah. I think they only signed Gregson for 1 year. I might be mistaken about that. It depends on Gregson's contract, but yeah, he definitely could be. Yeah, I see what you're saying. I read the year wrong. So yeah, you're right. He could be in the 48. I don't know. Alex Bowman seems to always be on the hot seat. I always talk about the 20 car being the least fun ride in all motorsports. I don't think the 48 car is much better. I feel like in the 48 car, you feel like you're always up against it as well. Next gen crash dummy. A lot of NASCAR fans like to complain. Yeah, for sure. I complain myself, but I try to stay positive. I do the best I can. Last episode, I can't say anything about that because it was nothing but complaints. But I try not to have too many like that. I try to stay positive and get as many people interested in the sport as I can because I think it's a great sport overall for the most part. Everything's going to have its problems. So I try not to harp on them too much. That's why I keep the points, my annual rant about the points, the 3 times a year. And I've hit my quota, so I won't rant about them. Well, I haven't hit it. I've done 2. I will save the last one for the last race of the year. But that's I try not to be super negative about stuff. I think Petty GMS will be like Trackhouse next year. Jones and Noah together is going to be awesome. I think there's a good chance that they both are going to be really good. I do expect Noah to be streaky though, just because all rookies are going to be streaky. But he does have some experience driving these cars, so he won't be maybe quite as streaky as other people. That's assuming that this car is handling similar to the way it handles this year, because I'm sure it's going to get some things done to it in the off season. I know for a fact it's going to get at least 1 or 2 things tweaked in the off season. I heard that Ty Dillon didn't want to drive for his grandfather. Is that true? Maverick said that is 100% true. He didn't want to use, in his opinion, his last name to get a ride, which is his decision. But like I've said, if somebody offers you a ride in a race car, you should always take it, because you got to take every advantage you can in this sport, because it's just such a competitive, cutthroat sport. I don't agree with his decision on that, but I understand what he's doing and where he's coming from. It's just not smart. Your parents and grandparents work really hard to put you in a position to succeed, and if you choose not to succeed, that's on you. So I don't have this. I respect what he's doing. I don't, because I think it's in a way sort of selfish and egotistical. But that's just my opinion on it. Like, I'm a Ty Gibbs fan, but I just feel like in life, if you don't take every advantage you're given, you're sort of waving the middle finger at the people that are trying to help you advance in your career. It's just like, just because it's Richard Childress, your granddad, giving you the ride, how does that make it any different than if Rick Hendrick offered you a ride? You would take the ride at Rick Hendrick just because of the last name, right? Like, so to me, it's just whatever. And the whole reason people don't do it is they want people to think they earned it, right? Well, as long as your last name's Dillon, people are never going to think you earned it. So you might as well just take the help when you can get it. It is what it is. Not going to get off on that rant. That's a weird, specific rant to me. So it is what it is. Deegan is overrated. She promotes her YouTube channel more than her driving. That's a common criticism of her. But she has said she promotes the YouTube channel because that's how she gets the sponsors to do the racing. So the two are sort of intertwined. I think she's doing what she can to be a race car driver. I respect her because, here, to be honest, she could be racing in Cup right now. She chooses not to. She doesn't want to move up until she has proven to herself that she's ready to move up to the next step. So I do respect that. But as far as her, do people rate her higher than maybe she is? For sure, because they're really excited to have a girl driver that's really good. So you can see where people would overrate her, but I don't think she overrates herself, because obviously she hasn't gone straight to Cup. Where we saw Danica Patrick, she raced maybe 20 or 30 Xfinity races tops, and then went straight to Cup. So, and that was all of her stock car driving experience. So I think Hailie Deegan's doing it in a better way. I don't think she overrates herself. I think other people possibly overrate her. But that being said, I think she's a really good driver. Roderick Dale, really happy the drivers are speaking out about the crashes on the Cup cars. Kyle Busch fan forever. He will for sure do well with RCR. I think you're right. I think he'll definitely be good with RCR. And I agree with you. I'm glad everybody is starting to speak out and take their own safety into consideration, because it is a dangerous sport, but it doesn't have to be more dangerous than it needs to be. Maybe you think Corey LaJoie will win. I hope so. I hope he wins. What do you think of NASCAR not getting the 24 appeal scheduled before the race today? I don't think it's any different than normal. So I don't know. And this particular track, I don't see where that would actually really help him a whole lot. So it sort of is what it is. And I think he was the only one, if I'm not mistaken, I think his car was the only car that didn't get through tech 2 times. So he lost, as far as the playoff drivers, I think he lost a crew member as well. So it's even if he had his full crew there, it didn't help him because he went through tech twice and still lost a crew member. Let's see. Hopefully NASCAR will get this car fixed for next year, but the next few years NASCAR is going to be some good racing because it's a lot of truck and Xfinity champions coming to Cup. Cassandra Keller, that's a good point. There is going to be a changing of the guard here before too long. We know 4 that are going to be gone for sure just because they're going to age out. So you're definitely going to have a lot of hungry young guys coming up, and hopefully if they get the safety on this car fixed, then they can focus on the short tracks and some of the tracks they're having problems passing on, which is all of them in my opinion. But hopefully they get it figured out. Corey LaJoie for heat. Yeah, there you go, Ryan Fussner. Let's do it. Corey LaJoie for heat. We got 2 votes for Corey LaJoie so far. I say choose Ty Dillon. Sorry. We got 1 Ty Dillon for heat. Never mind. He switched it. He's going Corey LaJoie. We got 3 Corey LaJoies. What's your game on tag NASCAR heat? Ryan Fussner wants to know. He's trying to watch that. I hope Custer improves right now. He was having a silent improvement until Texas, where he hit the wall hard. DNF'd, hopefully, didn't ruin his silent improvement since Michigan. Cole Custer's going to be fine, man. He's just had a bad year, but he has started to turn it around. If you look at his last half compared to his first half, he'll be all right. Ollie 91, if you guys want to watch, I guess we're going with Corey LaJoie. If you want to watch Corey LaJoie in NASCAR heat here today. Mark Barnum, Saints-Viking game in London is a good one. Oh, yeah, so I forgot it was a London game today. I've got Thielen in that game, so hopefully Thielen's doing something. So hopefully, I guess I'm pulling for the Vikings in that one because I've got one of their receivers on my fantasy team. So check that out if you want to see the final of that, but also leave me streaming so you can hear my relaxing, soothing tones while you're watching the game. OJ and Toothpaste, what was your opinion? I don't care if you turn it off to watch the game, by the way. I'm just joking. What was your opinion of when Jeff Gordon tied Dale Earnhardt in wins at Phoenix? Be totally honest, I was pissed off because I was like, Dale Earnhardt's a way better driver, but Jeff Gordon was in better equipment, and if Earnhardt had been better equipment, he would have had better numbers and stuff like that. But it doesn't bother me now. I just remember being really ill. I was like, man, when I knew he was going to overtake him, it was just a really crappy time. But it's all good now. Even Jeff Gordon has admitted that he had a way better car in the 90s than Senior did. So it is what it is. What's up, man? What is your opinion of Corey LaJoie? And I don't hate Jeff Gordon now. I just hated him back then because I was a mega Earnhardt fan. It is part of what it is. What's up, man? What is your opinion of Corey LaJoie? I think he's a winner. That he has never been given a chance in good equipment. Hope he wins today. I agree with you on that. If they could get him in good equipment, you would see some serious results. You see, whenever they hit the setup, you see Corey LaJoie up there contending and battling for the lead, battling for top fives. But unfortunately, they just missed the setup a lot, and it's unfortunate. But he just doesn't have the best stuff. Hopefully, somebody sees how good he is that can find him some funding, because I would love to see Corey LaJoie in competitive equipment. And I think if Spire got money, they could be a competitive team. They only have like 4 or 5 actual people that work there. So they could get some money to bring some other people in. I think you could see Spire really, really improve. I wanted to see Corey LaJoie go to the 42, but they went with Noah Gragson. So I feel like I can't remember who said it earlier, but to that point, I think if this is a big if Hendrick gives up on Alex Bowman, which is a big if, I think Corey LaJoie or Noah Gragson would be probably one of the guys they look at to put in there along with Sam Mayer, depending on how he continues his improvement. My picks for today are the 6, the 22, the 34, the 45, the 5, and the 12. So Bumblebee going with a mix of manufacturers. We have seen in the past where it's a manufacturer race. but she's going with a mix of manufacturers there. I would love to see Brad Keselowski win that race too, or Michael McDowell. Any other new winner. I kind of want to keep the streak going of non-playoff drivers winning races. John Hale, is it me, or has there been way too many fires this year in NASCAR? Yeah. Hopefully they fixed it on the Cup side when they blocked off that little opening in the splitter that was letting rubber sort of accumulate near the headers and then take off and go on fire or whatever. Let's see. Hot take: Noah Gragson will struggle and not make the play. Yeah, I don't think Noah Gragson will make the playoffs. I will say that, but I think he'll have a decent year. Unless he wins a race, like Austin Cindric wouldn't have been in the playoffs without winning that race. So there's always that. But I think he'll have a similar season to Austin Cindric, no doubt about that. Laptop finally crapped the bed. YouTube on the phone sucks. Oh, Mark Barnum, I hate that. I lost my laptop earlier this year too. It struggled, and I finally had to break down and buy a new laptop, which I did. And the new laptop is kicking butt. So hopefully your new laptop will be good too. But it does suck that your laptop died. It's always a sad day. Hopefully you can get all your stuff off of it too. Noah does struggle when he doesn't have a good car. Yeah, for sure. But I think that's everybody. I think Noah tries to what every young driver does when they have a car that's not handling well. They try to overdrive it, and you can overdrive it to a point. But you're in the Cup Series. Everybody's pretty good. You're not going to overdrive your car and make up 10 spots like you can in late models and trucks. So when you have a bad car, it takes them a long time to figure it out. But when you have a bad car, just do what the car will do until your crew chief can make some adjustments on it. I think Haley can drive too. As somebody who has won modified championships and lots of races down here in Florida, I think she's just figuring out and will continue to improve. Yeah, I'm right there with you, Coldfire. She's when she puts it together, there's always this moment as a driver when it clicks. When she puts it together and it clicks, I think you guys are going to see a totally different Haley Deegan, and you never know when that moment will happen. But we have seen it happen for other drivers. Think about, I like to use Martin Truex as my example. Martin Truex drove in teams that were considered good teams, but he got there at bad times. And it took him a long time to sort of figure it out. But when Martin Truex Jr. figured it out, he's been one of the top 5, top 4 ever since, top 3 really, in my opinion. He's been one of the top 3 ever since. But when it finally clicked for him, he was the man, and he became the man. And I feel strongly about that with Haley Deegan. Do I think she'll be as good as Martin Truex? No, I'm not going to make some crazy claim like that. But I think when she figures it out, you'll see what she can do in a race car because she's got really good car control from racing on dirt for so long. So I think once it clicks for her, you're going to see a totally different driver than you've been seeing. She'll start being aggressive again, and you'll just see a totally different driver, in my opinion. Yep, I'm driving LaJoy, currently P23s. All right, Penske fan. He's live. He's driving and live streaming with us. That is a serious talent. I can't do that. I'll just go ahead and tell you that. Not a Toyota issue. Bubba Wallace engine was overheating for something the team was responsible for. Earnhardt wouldn't try new things. Toward the end of his career, he finally, 99 and 2000, he finally relented and started doing other stuff. But that was why he had the slump in the mid-90s. I agree with you. Plus, you just got to give credit to Ray Evernham. Ray Evernham was the man back then, and he was giving Gordon really good stuff. And that's a deal with that's always a new driver, old driver deal. Once you get to a certain age as a driver, you've seen a lot of stuff, and you're like, that's not going to work. That's not going to work. You see it all the time, and then you got these younger new kids that are like, okay, whatever, we'll try it, and that's just a totally different approach. And if you have a good crew chief for a younger driver, then that new crew chief will find and hit on stuff. Whereas you've got a crew chief that wants to try new stuff with an older driver, they're not going to get to try as many things. So it is what it is. BB, always great to have you do a live chat. Thanks, Cassandra Keller. I appreciate it. After seeing the TV series with behind the scenes, I have a huge level of respect for LaJoy, Ryan Fussner said. Yeah, I don't think a lot of people realized how shoestring that Spire was. And I think you understand, you have a better appreciation for when Spire does well, when you see how many employees they have. And plus, just seeing the emotion and how much this means to Corey LaJoy, I think that helped for sure. Just stop by to give the live stream a thumbs up. I appreciate it, John Smith. Always appreciate the thumbs up, no doubt about it. Or as they say, on the Icebergs channel, lick that like button if you feel like it. Watch Cole Custer have a breakout year next year. It looks like he is starting to get hold of the next gen car now. Yeah, for sure. Like I said, like I was just talking about with Haley Deegan, Cole Custer's another one. Once Cole Custer figures it out, you're going to see a whole different Cole Custer. So it takes certain guys a little while to figure things out. Ross Chastain, it took him a while to figure it out. Chase Elliott took him 3 or 4 years. But once Chase Elliott got that first win, you've seen a whole different Chase Elliott. That's what I'm saying with Haley Deegan. I don't know how good Haley Deegan's going to be, but I think she's got a lot of talent. And once you see her put it together, you're going to see a totally different Haley Deegan. I want Jones for the win today. Eric Jones winning would be huge for sure. I definitely, like I said, I'm an RCR and Richard Petty fan. So anytime any of those guys win, like I can't have an unbiased opinion. Like I've always thought Eric Jones was a good driver, so I have sort of an unbiased opinion about him. I knew he was really good. Once again, another guy that fell into somebody's lap. I couldn't believe Petty got Eric Jones, but like when they did, I was like, holy crap. So probably the two biggest wins for Chevrolet in recent memory from Toyota losses. Like we've now gotten Kyle Busch and we've now gotten Eric Jones. So Chevrolet, if you're in the Chevrolet camp, I didn't think we would ever see those guys driving Chevrolets because I thought Eric Jones was going to be a Toyota for lifer. Same thing with Kyle Busch, but Chevrolet got him and good for them. And just like Tyler Reddick, I thought he'd be a Chevrolet guy for life too, but Toyota got him. So good for Toyota. They got a good driver there. So it's always crazy to see where guys end up. Old home guys, stuff like that's why NASCAR will never evolve. LOL. Any rain in the forecast for the 45 car to win? Oh yeah. Little rain wind humor. But he put it on them at Kansas or wherever he won. He won by over a second in Kansas. So, once again, NASCAR agenda stuff. It is what it is. Whenever somebody wins on a checkered or anything like that, it's always going to be like NASCAR had an agenda or something like that. So, all right, I'm going to wrap it up here in probably 2 or 3 minutes, maybe 5 minutes. Time to go get some food before the Cup race. So, if you got any other questions, comments, drop them in there and leave them in there. Let's see. What have I not talked about today? Tyler Reddick. Running over the official. I don't know if I touched on that. So Tyler Reddick was pushing it. They all push it on their super speedway brakes. Tyler Reddick got into an official on pit road, and that official has a hurt or injured lower extremity. I didn't see exactly how bad it was, but so just be aware of that. There has been another safety issue. I don't really want to talk about it because I'm trying to stay positive here today. Junior got Brandon Jones. Oh yeah, for sure. That's another. I think Brandon Jones has sneaky good potential. Like he has improved every season. Brandon Jones. I'm glad I brought this up, Cassandra Keller. Brandon Jones has gotten better every single season he has been in Xfinity. And I think a lot of people remember that first season where he was wrecking and doing stuff like that a lot. So I don't think they remember. They're not seeing the improvement and the progress. So he's another guy. It didn't click for him right away, but now that it is clicking for him, he's up there competing every single weekend. I don't think a driver, a car manufacturer, or whatever is on the car. Well, I mean they're sort of spec built, but it is what it is. Great show, BB. Have a good day. Appreciate it, Kim Pryor. Moulton going with his picks here. Almirola, 4th for Briscoe, 5th for Harvick, 23rd for Custer, 28th. This is unacceptable. We can't have 2 cars. Oh, talking about SHR's qualifying. I wouldn't worry about qualifying on a super speedway. I just wouldn't, unless you're really crazy about pit selection, which also I don't think doesn't matter on a super speedway. Who's your pick for the JRM Cup driver? I think Bowman or Truex. If Hendrick gets rid of Alex Bowman, I think Junior would go with Alex Bowman. But I think because Martin Truex Jr. signed a 1-year deal, that opens up the door because Junior's already talked about it, so this is no secret. That opens up the door for Truex to be the guy to sort of help Junior Motorsports start in Cup, and I think you could see that happen. So obviously it won't happen next year. But like I've said the whole time, 2024, I could see of those two, I would say Martin Truex Jr. because he's going to bring sponsorship and he's going to give you 1 or 2 years to help you start your deal, and then you put in your other guy, whoever that other guy may be, who would probably be either Josh Berry or maybe Carson Voppel. One of those two guys would probably be the guy after Martin Truex Jr. retires or moves on. So I would have to say Martin Truex, and I thought it was going to be Martin Truex the whole time. Mark Larson going with Kyle Larson for the win. Old home guy says he's going with Jones for the win today. And Molten Rage, I have Blaney winning Talladega, but I'm really hoping we finally get to see Custer win. I like Ryan Blaney here. I think he's a good pick. Mark Barnum going with the McDowell supremacy today. Lick that like button if you want to see Michael McDowell win for the Iceberg. Also, it helps the channel. All right, and with that, guys, it's been fun. We will do it again next Sunday, I hope. And appreciate y'all hanging out. Thanks for your time. Peace.